Assalamu alaikum. This is Module 1, Unit 2. In this video, we will discuss Unit 2 and Unit 3. In Unit 2, it is discussed that how a good oral communication activity can be performed. So, our Unit 2 will discuss stimulate how you can stimulate your learners to interest in classroom oral communication. Next one, you have to identify the key skills for teachers that teachers have to plan and for delivery of the effective, as we have discussed in chapter 1, that in next two chapters, chapter number 2 and 3, we also discuss that how the lesson would be delivered in our classroom related to oral communication. And third one, we have to select appropriate and control task. Number 4, we have to get up the task for functional language. And fifth one, to design practice. So, what should be the setting of the classroom? Firstly, there would be a number of opportunities to speak English. Number 1, clear instructions. Number 3, you have to overcome their shyness or lack of confidence. Number 4, you have to deal responsive with tactful way, that it would be a learning environment for your students. And in last, you have to give them a constructive feedback for their development. By opening QAED app, you would get through by different slides. We have skipped for that. Next, we have to discuss types of oral communication activity. Firstly, learning of sound. You would perform activity for learning of sound practice. Then learning of speak. You have to start activity for communication. For learning them how to speak. And next one is role play. Role play is according to you can choose two students. One will perform a role of a teacher, another with the students. And next one, if one is doctor, other would be the patient. These are few examples. Next one is syllable. Syllables, we all know that syllable is a word that has a single vowel sound. A word which can be performed in a single breath can be called syllable. So smile, pencil, family. So if they are, the number of pauses can be in local words. The number of pauses determine the time and the number of syllables in a word. So there are different examples here. Next is about consonant digraph. Digraph is the production of different sound with the collage of two words, two consonant words. PH, P have a different sound, H have a different sound, but when they will combine, PH will perform the sound of F. So this is the digraph. There are different examples. Teacher can go. So yes, textbook activities they have also discussed set up a role play. So there are few instructions you have to give to your students. That firstly get into pairs, read the dialogue, and explain different words. And yes, there is a paragraph here in the form of the dialogue. Students can discuss. There are classroom tasks you can ask. Every student in a peer, and yes, you can perform for a active learning and speaking skill. Next topic is fluency and accuracy. Basically, fluency is the flow of the words, and accuracy is the correct pronunciation of the word is accuracy. So these two concepts are inculcated in this chapter, and in this app you can find two videos to understand its clear view. One activity is given in this chapter. You can perform 5 steps. First, your name of the family, etc. for this accuracy activity. So, yes, what would be the summary? Summary is you firstly is motivation, and second is the participation of students. And yes, next would be the examples that you can take from the textbook. And next one would be the activities that students would develop the actual skill. And last one is that you can differentiate between fluency and accuracy, that you have work on this chapter. Respected teachers, we have discussed about listening skills in a previous chapter, but now it's turn of speaking. That what are the opportunities in the textbook for speaking in every lesson, and what would be the way of designing speaking activities. So, in planning, now in chapter 3, we will learn how to plan activities related to oral communication. First would be the pre listening and speaking skill, that before starting a lesson, how would you start how would you take steps back to introduce the lesson? And second one is post is about the end of the lesson when you have completed lecturing your specific paragraph. And third one is a while. So there would be three steps. First would be pre, second would be while, and third would be post. These three different stages would help you to communicate the better oral communication skills in your students. So there is given a little paragraph here where teacher is asking, welcome to your student. This is a pre exercise for good oral communication way. When teacher would perform simple paragraphs like that, then students would read and understand simple dialogue. They will develop confidence in speaking. Yes, it would work on pronunciation. They would see that how teachers pronounce the different words and use of the language for the different situations. These are very important points. Unhelpful factors and supporting factors. Teachers have to just make sure that they have to use supporting factor instead of correcting them again and again. It will produce fear of making error. Instead, when they would appreciate them, it would boost confidence in speaking. Lack of vocabulary is unhelpful factor, but providing a word bank, you can start by adding two words on daily basis. Then it would be at a bank, and after a week they would have 12 words regarding to their word bank. Correction midway, there would be a positive feedback. Teacher's way of appreciation or correction would be such presentable that students got interest, more interest in speaking and listening. Instead of making it very difficult stage and giving them difficult words, instead teachers have to give them easy input that they understand. Instead of using astonish way, instead of, you can ask very good, excellent, the things students are familiar with it. So next one is applying in all contexts. Oral communication activity should be performed in own context. Every teacher has a unique way of starting their lesson, so teachers can apply their own context on the paragraph, and then with applying the three basic skill of pre, post, and while reading, they can perform it in a better way. So, after summarize, we have got that teachers have a plan for their delivery of their lectures, and after that, they have to apply a few strategies post, pre, and while reading for it, and just design and plan of this communication acting by peers, by dialoguing, and different things. That's all.